Okay.
All right, so we tried to do this via Facebook Live. It's just not working today, and apologize for those that tried to reach us in that group. But this is the recording section of this Zoom webinar that we're doing, a 3-part series on COVID fears. The first week that we worked on explaining the link between fear and what happens with your immune system. And then we went on to tap with someone on their fears, showed some self-help techniques. I think we'll do that again today. Last week, it was anger and how anger really doesn't do your immune system any good. And then we did some self-regulation stuff. And again, we worked offline, off the recording with someone one-on-one. And this week, something that's really up for a lot of people is the idea of isolation and being alone. And so we thought we'd really talk about this and focus on that today.
Yeah, there are a lot of different individual aspects to this. So, just thinking about some of them that I'm hearing or seeing evidence of is feelings of disconnection. Right. So people obviously are not having their physical contact with friends and hugs and contact. They're literally just not seeing as many people in a day or in a week as they're used to, many of which really they thrive upon, right? Because we know we thrive on physical touch and hearing and talking. People are going a lot more into these kinds of formats on computer, right, that are not accustomed to doing that.
Yeah.
And I'm hearing a lot about, okay, if I have to do one more Zoom or one more interaction on the computer, I'm just like, I'm full, right? And they're feeling separate that way. I'm hearing different instances also of people, the boredom, right? And just this morning was talking to somebody that was just, I just want to be able to go to the store and get something, and I can't do that. And I can't just, so that feelings of helplessness, that feelings of isolation, the feelings of disconnection, the feelings of, especially for those of you that are home by yourselves. I mean, we're lucky, right? And we've got each other, we've got our puppy, we've got our family, but not everybody has that. So there's just, emotions that I'm seeing are boredom, helplessness, isolation, loneliness, disconnection, sadness, depression, worry when it's going to change, anxiety. I mean, there's so many different elements to this and the flavors. And what I also want to say is then there's the underlying layers, right? So if something's showing up as boredom now, or et cetera, why is it showing up in that flavor? And of course, our history always informs why it's showing up in a particular flavor right now, right? Okay, another piece that I want to add is with regard to, research-wise, is that when we start to look at loneliness, we look at scientific research connecting loneliness to heart disease, to Alzheimer's disease. And there's especially a really important connection between research showing between feelings of loneliness that starts to cause us to actually create levels of increased inflammation in our body. So when we start to look at studies that showed people that were lonely, they started to have higher levels of norepinephrine, which then started to result in immune changes, which then started to result in a sensitivity and epigenetic changes to cortisol, which leads to inflammation. And then from a meta perspective, we talk about a particular kind of syndrome hypothesis that results in feelings of abandonment, feelings of being alone in the world, actually leading to higher levels of inflammation and swelling in the body. So we have physiological changes, we have the emotional and psychological changes, all that result. And when we start to look to also the other studies as far as happiness studies in countries that have a higher level of happiness and satisfaction, a big part is our feeling and experience of being connected to others. So with this prolonged period of feeling disconnect, it's showing up in people's emotions, psyche, physical well-being. And we need to be doing everything right now to lower cortisol levels, increase immune response to stay healthy for emotional reasons.
So is there a connection between inflammation and immune system response? Is that the connection?
Yeah. So what happens is when we have elevated levels of cortisol, here's what we want to say is the higher the levels of cortisol, the lesser our immune response. Okay. So in different ways. So it's complicated, but what I want to say is the higher stress levels, the higher cortisol levels, that response from loneliness causes, for example, decreases in immunoglobulin A and other immune factors that make us more susceptible. So we want our immune systems to be more robust. We want to be able to lower cortisol, increase immune response to be able to fight off anything that we might get exposed to, even if it's just the influenza right now. Right?
Or a cold
or cold,
anything
right?
else.
Anything else?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So before we sort of lock down the webinar, we're going to see if we can do that. And we start tapping one-on-one with some of you. Do you have any questions? Is there something that you want to share with us or ask us? And yeah, so people are feeling, you know, that they're jealous when they see people on TV hugging, and the state went from, you know, stay at home for 2 weeks to stay at home for 30 days. And Virginia just went to staying home till June. So there's a lot of uncertainty. And I would also say that what contributes to this might be expectations. Like if you were to go on a silent retreat for a week in an ashram in India, that'd be great. Like isolation sounds great, but this isn't that. Your expectations were like, okay, at the end of that week, I'm done. I can speak and I can see people and all of these things, but and so that's a contributing factor too.
Yeah, and another piece that I'm seeing are these self-expectations like, oh, okay, great. So I got more time. I can now start studying another language. I can start my meditation practice. And there's a point at which I watch people like have an initial thought, I can do that. But you know what? Enough's enough. And now there's feelings of I'm being controlled. Now there's feelings of people are telling me what I can and can't do. And what I want to say, as those emotional reasons are being triggered, remember from like the Dan Siegel hand model, is when we reach a point of getting triggered for somebody controlling us, somebody telling us what we can and can't do, what starts to happen is that survival part of our brain, that limbic part of our brain, starts taking over, which is much, much stronger than the part of, oh, great, I have lots of time for myself. I can take this, I can do this for myself. I should start my meditation and yoga practice every day, right? These thinking cognitive parts that we want to think are in control are much less in control than the parts that are feeling like my survival is being threatened. And that's what starts to run the roost when the limbic system starts saying, I'm in charge here. It's about surviving. The heck with those good ideas. And now emotionally, we start getting more easily triggered by anything that makes us feel that way.
Yep.
And of course, if we have a history of feeling helpless, if we have a history of feeling out of control, all of those things literally amp it up exponentially.
So any other questions? I also want to, and let's really think about what we want to do as the group's kind of self-experience here. The first week we taught orienting EFT, and the second week we did a version of tearless trauma. And what do we want to do now for folks?
Let's see.
Excessive productivity. Yeah. I mean, I could slip into that. Like we're full on, we're getting all these requests. We're doing all these things for to volunteer in our community. And we're saying, yes, yes, yes. And we've got to watch that. Yeah.
I actually had that working with somebody in a mentoring group today. And the idea was the should.
Yeah.
Right. For EFT practitioners, I should be putting myself out there.
Yeah.
I should be serving my community. I should be starting groups. And it took a very, very, what I would say, strong decision of putting self first to say, me, my well-being and my family's well-being comes first before I'm out there serving my community and other people.
Absolutely.
And that was absolutely a stance on self-care.
Yeah.
But that also is probably also to just look at the pattern of that, right? In that discomfort, do I automatically step out into, great, how can I do? Because in the doing, I don't have to feel, or it's a mechanism to not have to feel the worry and the fear as much if I'm out there doing and getting very productive.
Right. And after all, I'm helping people. So that has another added layer of guilt if you're not.
Right.
Okay, great. Well, is there something that we want to share with people as this, we could do either right brain aerobics, or we could do, what would you like to do?
Let's see, we did tearless trauma, we did chasing the pain.
Yeah.
Do we not want to do any basic EFT in this?
No.
Okay, so we just want to go ahead. Let's, do you want to show them how to do box? A way of doing something, how they're feeling to be able to containment?
Yeah, that sounds good.
How do we do that?
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So I want you to think about one piece of news or one bit of concern or an event that hasn't happened that you're afraid is going to happen. It could be around isolation. It could be anything.
Could have been an experience of, oh, who knows? You're on Zoom with a loved one, and all of a sudden the technology breaks down, and now you feel even more disconnected. So something that happened, some experience in which it made you feel more isolated, more alone. Maybe it was an announcement about a shutdown. Who knows? Whatever it was, but it was some moment in time that your experience of it made you feel even more isolated and more alone.
Yep.
Okay. All right. That's nothing new. Okay. Okay,
Go ahead.
so let's go ahead and do that. So you take this particular experience, and what I'm going to have you do is we're going to create a little bit of distance from it first. So we want to be able to regulate, we want to be able to contain, we want to be able to safely put something aside, especially when we're feeling a lot of emotional intensity around it. So a nice way to use this is when you feel something like this happening, you can use this technique. Right now, we're going to take something from the future or the past. So I want you to go ahead, and we're just going to do a little experience. I want you to imagine that experience we just talked about, that you're going to actually imagine, we're going to create some sort of container that you're going to put that in, whether it be a box or a truck or a safe or any number of things that it's going to be this experience you're going to imagine that you're going to put it in. Okay. Now, when you put it in there, I want you to go ahead and just imagine in your mind's eye what that container looks like. So how big is it?
It's about the size of a shipping container for me.
Got it. So a shipping container size.
Yeah.
Okay. Can you tell me what that's made of, what that looks like as you're just imagining it?
It's made out of steel.
Okay.
And it's soldered shut.
Okay. Is there any color to it or writing? Like as you're looking at it, what do you see?
It's got some red letters on it. I can't tell what it is.
Okay. So there's a red lettered, soldered shut steel shipping container.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anything else about it that you notice as you're just imagining it?
It's very heavy.
And it's very heavy. Okay. All right. Where would you like to put this or place this container? That it just is somewhere safe. You can put it anywhere in the world or outside of the world, that it's just going to be safe and contained. And you can just put things there and hold it there for some period of time until you.
I'm going to put it in on one of the peaks on Hurricane Ridge in the Olympic National Park.
Okay, good. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to do some tapping on that.
Okay.
Okay.
Do I guess at my?
Yeah. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to have you just imagine that you're just guessing at the intensity of what's inside that box. Don't even think about it too much.
So the event that I put inside the box,
exactly.
I'm guessing at the level of intensity, if I were to think about it, probably a 10.
Okay, good. All right. So let's try this.
Okay.
Repeat after me. We're going to go ahead and use our COVID-friendly tapping points.
Yes.
Right, and avoiding the face. And we still have both washed our hands before we got here, before any tapping right now. Okay. All right. Even though there's this steel shipping container.
There's this steel shipping container.
Good. It's soldered shut.
It's soldered shut.
There are some red letters on it.
There are red letters on it.
It's very heavy.
It's very heavy.
And it's on Hurricane Ridge.
It's on the top of, one of the peaks in Hurricane Ridge.
Perfect. I deeply and completely accept myself.
I deeply and completely accept myself.
Good. Even though there's this shipping container.
There's a shipping container.
Good. It's got red letters.
Got red letters.
It's very heavy.
Very heavy.
It's soldered shut.
Soldered shut.
And it's on the top of one of the peaks in Hurricane Ridge.
It's on top of one of the peaks in Hurricane Ridge.
I deeply and completely accept myself.
I deeply and completely accept myself.
Even though
there's
a shipping container.
There's a shipping container.
It's steel and it's soldered shut.
Steel and it's soldered shut.
And it's very heavy.
Very heavy.
It's got red letters on it.
Got red letters on it.
And it's on a peak of one of the mountains in Hurricane Ridge.
It's on a peak on one of the mountains in Hurricane Ridge.
And I deeply and completely accept myself.
I deeply and completely accept myself.
top of the head. This shipping container.
The shipping container.
Good. It's very heavy.
It's very heavy.
Good. It's got red letters on it.
It's got red letters on it.
Good. Liver points. It's on one of the peaks of Hurricane Ridge.
It's on one of the peaks in Hurricane Ridge.
Good. This very heavy shipping container.
This very heavy shipping container.
Good. That's soldered shut.
Soldered shut.
Good. With red letters on it.
With red letters on it.
Excuse me. Look at that. That's
red letters on it.
Good. Red letters on it. It's on one of the peaks
It's on one of the peaks
in Hurricane Ridge.
in Hurricane Ridge.
This very heavy shipping container.
This very heavy shipping container.
Okay. So let's just pause. So without thinking about what's inside of it, but you know there's something is, just guessing at the intensity. If you were to think about it, 0 to 10.
6.
6. Great. Anything else changed about it as you picture that? I want you to just imagine, is there anything else that's changed or is different about that shipping container?
It's still a shipping container.
Okay.
Still has red letters on it.
Okay.
It's not on the ridge anymore. It's in a lake.
It's on a lake. Any particular lake?
Yeah. Is it Lake Jenny? Is that the name of the lake that when you're driving towards the Port Angeles there?
Well, as long as you picture
Yeah, I
it,
know
we'll call it lake.
It's a glacier lake. So it's really, really, really blue,
Okay.
like this beautiful
Okay.
aqua.
It's a beautiful blue, and where is it sitting?
Right in this middle of the lake and the deepest part of it.
Okay, so it all looks the same, just the location's different.
Yeah.
Great. Okay. Even though there's a shipping container.
There's a shipping container.
It's very heavy with red letters and soldered shut.
Very heavy with red letters, soldered shut.
Good. And it's at the bottom of the center of the beautiful crystal blue lake.
It's down at the bottom of this glacier lake, like in the deepest part of it.
Okay, I deeply and completely accept myself.
I deeply and completely accept myself.
Good. Even though there's the shipping container.
There's a shipping container.
Good. There's this, and by the way, just barring benefits is you're just focusing and repeating what I'm saying to Alina. You're not thinking about anything on your own. You're just following us here. So even though there's a shipping container. It's on the bottom of this glacier lake.
It's what?
It's on the bottom of this glacier lake.
Bottom of the glacier lake.
Good. And it's very heavy.
Very heavy.
And it's made out of steel with red letters.
Made out of steel, red letters.
I deeply and completely accept myself.
Deeply and completely accept myself.
Good. Even though
there
is this container.
There's this container.
Good. The shipping container that's very heavy.
The shipping container that's very heavy.
That's soldered shut with red letters.
Soldered shut with red letters.
And it's on the bottom of that beautiful glacier lake.
Bottom of the glacier lake.
I deeply and completely accept myself.
I deeply and completely accept myself.
Good. The shipping container.
Shipping container.
This heavy shipping container with red letters.
Heavy shipping container with red letters.
Good. It's very heavy.
Very heavy.
Good. And it's on the bottom of the glacier blue lake.
Glacier blue lake, right at the bottom. It's the deepest part.
The deepest part.
The deepest part.
The bottom of this beautiful glacier lake.
Bottom of this beautiful glacier lake.
The shipping container.
The shipping container.
This heavy shipping container.
Heavy shipping container.
With red letters.
With red letters.
Good. On the bottom.
On the bottom.
Of this beautiful glacier lake.
The deepest part of that blue lake.
Okay. All right. So just check in. If you were to think about what's inside, guessing 0 to 10?
Probably a 2.
2. Okay. Anything different about the container as you picture it now? Still on the bottom of the lake, same size, same shape, same colors, anything changed?
It's a lot smaller.
It's a lot smaller.
Yeah.
Like how much smaller?
I don't know why, but what's coming to me, it's like the size and shape of a Volkswagen bug.
It's a Volkswagen bug.
Yeah, like a beetle.
Okay.
Yeah.
Color?
Yellow.
Yellow Volkswagen Beetle.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And location?
It's not in the lake. It's on the beach.
Okay. It's on the beach.
On the beach by the lake.
By the lake.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's do another round.
Okay.
Okay. Even though there's this yellow Volkswagen Beetle.
There's this yellow Volkswagen Beetle.
And it's on the beach of the lake.
It's on the beach of the lake.
I deeply and completely accept myself.
I deeply and completely accept myself.
Good. Even though there's this yellow beetle.
There's this yellow beetle.
Good. And it's on the beach.
It's on the beach.
By the lake.
By the lake.
I deeply and completely accept myself.
I deeply and completely accept myself.
And even though there's this yellow beetle.
There's this yellow beetle.
And it's just on the beach.
It's on the beach.
The beach by the lake.
The beach by the lake.
I deeply and completely accept myself.
I deeply and completely accept myself.
Good. This Volkswagen Beetle.
This Volkswagen Beetle.
Good. It's yellow.
It's yellow.
And it's on the beach.
It's on the beach.
On the beach by the lake.
On the beach by the lake.
This Volkswagen Beetle.
This Volkswagen Beetle.
Good. Okay.
All right.
And just check in. So
It's-
just guessing, we put something in the Beetle, just guessing at the intensity of what's in the Beetle.
I think it's still a 2.
It's a 2.
It's a 2. And nothing's really changed.
Okay.
It's still the same.
Okay. So there may be a point that we start to stall out with the morphing and changing of the process. Like
How
we
about
are here.
how about we show how we just leave it?
Yeah. Okay. Let's do that. So basically, if we get to a point where really kind of progress stops, it stops morphing and changing, then we're going to go ahead and we're just going to leave it there for now. Okay.
Yeah.
So let's do that.
Okay.
Okay. Even though there's this yellow Volkswagen Beetle.
There's a yellow Volkswagen Beetle with like the big 70s flowers.
Oh, there's big 70s flowers.
Yeah.
And it's still on the beach by the lake?
Still on the beach by the lake.
Good. I'm okay leaving it there.
I'm okay. Totally cool leaving it there for now.
It can stay there for now.
It can stay there for now.
And I'm okay with that.
And I'm okay with that.
And even though there's this yellow Volkswagen Beetle.
There's a yellow Volkswagen Beetle.
With the 70s flowers on it.
With the 70s flowers
And
on it.
it's sitting there on the beach by the lake.
Sitting there by the beach by the lake.
I'm good just leaving it there.
I'm good just leaving it there.
It feels safe just leaving it right there.
Feels really safe just leaving it there.
And even though there's this yellow Volkswagen Beetle.
Even though there's this yellow Volkswagen
with
Beetle.
those 70s flowers on it.
With those 70s flowers on it.
Good. And it's sitting there by the beach.
Sitting there by the beach.
By the lake.
By the lake.
Totally okay leaving it there.
Totally okay leaving it there.
It's fine right there.
It's fine right there.
I'm good stopping here.
I'm good stopping here.
Good. I deeply and completely accept myself.
I deeply and completely accept myself.
That yellow Volkswagen Beetle.
That yellow Volkswagen Beetle.
With the flowers.
With the flowers.
That's just sitting on the beach by the lake.
Sitting by the beach by the lake.
Where it can just stay there.
Or it can just stay there.
I'm fine with it staying there.
I'm fine with it.
It's good right there.
It's perfect right there.
Good. How are you feeling right now?
Good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So any questions on this technique? Box container technique. It's good to do when you've got something and you just want to leave it there, like the last round that we did, or you want to work with something and process it a little bit. But it's kind of like a really good regulation distancing technique.
Mm-hmm.
You might not get completely to a 0 and unravel it all unless you go more directly.
Great.
Is it okay to have your eyes closed when imagining the container? Yes. Just don't imagine the event that you're putting into the container. That part you're really guessing on.
Mm-hmm. And ideally what you're trying to do is ideally we're getting the intensity down to a 3 or lower. So we'll just keep working until the image stalls out. It stops morphing and changing. And ideally the SUDs are the 0 to 10 levels of 3 or below. And then we can safely leave it aside to be able to put it there for now, to come back to it to another time and deal more directly with it if we wish to.
Okay, we're going to turn the recording off. And thank you all so much for participating. And we're likely going to do some more of these because the COVID season isn't over yet. So we'll be doing more of these and try to figure out why Facebook Live didn't work on this one. Thank you.